Guess what day it is? Hey, it's our day after show where we say, let's talk about it, right? So 100% of this show is dedicated towards interacting with you, taking your questions, listening to your comments. There's a link that is posted in the description for you to call into the show. Yes, this is a call-in show. So on your phone, hit a button there. On your phone, on your computer, however you want to call in, it doesn't matter to me. Just call in, whether you got a question, event, whatever it may be. Let's talk about it. Chris Jenkins, credentialed member of the media, covering the Carolina Panthers for Charlotte Vibe, a.k.a. Man of the People. Yes, you have a friend in the media, which is myself, here for your disposal. So yesterday, the Carolina Panthers had a tough loss to those Atlanta Falcons. And, man, I don't know if you guys saw that. Man, I should try to get this stuff together, but I think about it as I'm talking to you. Some tough stuff out there about this team. Let me go ahead and also post this into the comments before we get going too much further here. Or pin it in the comments so that those that are watching online can also find easy ways to join us live. Give me just a second to get that done. Let's see here. So I am currently pinning this into the comments. There you go. And then I'm going to share with you all something that I saw earlier today. That's just like, man, that's tough. All right, Shaked, I appreciate you joining me. Give me a second, though. I want to put something up that I saw earlier today, and then I'll get to you. Let's see. All right, here we go. Let's see if I can correctly do this. That's not what I want to do. There we go. Look at that, man. Ooh, trolling. Would you say the Atlanta Falcons posted this? This wasn't even today. This was the other day. Great photograph. And they say, doesn't look like this is your lair, as the Atlanta Falcons did their thing, beat the Carolina Panthers yesterday 38-20. A little tough, isn't it? But it's facts. So, you know, if it happened that way, you're able to take advantage of it, so be it. But this show is a call-in show. I'm not going to waste any time. We got our first caller that has jumped in. Give me one more second, Shaked, and I'll bring you on just one more second. Let me make sure that everything is well before we get too far into this. Yes, everything is good. Everything is good. So let me hit these buttons right here.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Shaked.
So
hold on. I'm going to ask you a question first.
Yeah.
How mad are you today?
Offense, not really. Defense, pissed off. Now, here's the deal. Last year, we had much better defense. How did we do against the run? Terrible. Do you remember the Green Bay game? Aaron Jones, now with the Vikings, at the time with the Packers, ran over the defense. About over 200 rushing yards. Week one this season, we had Derek Brown, we had Shaq Thompson, we had George Jules, we had everyone. How did we do against the run, Chris?
In week one?
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and tell you, man. I'll be your statistician. So in week one, our rushing yards was yards for us. Let me go to a different screen. That make this a little easier for me. Rushing yards was a total of 58 for the Carolina Panthers in week one versus the New Orleans Saints.
No. I'm asking, how many yards did we allow?
Oh, we allowed 180 to the Saints. Yes, 180.
How many sacks did we get? 0. So my whole point, I told you last night, defending Overa, was going to ask if you're his best friend or something like that, because, 2 years, I just gave you a second ago. Last year, much better defense. Look at the stat Against the Packers, we couldn't stop the pass, we couldn't stop the run. And against the Buccaneers, and so on. So it's not lack of talent, it's the play style, the scheme. 3-4 doesn't work. And I mean, let's be honest, having 0 sacks, 3 games, having 2 sacks in 6 games, 5 games, that is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. And I mean, I don't put the blame on Canales because, unless I'm mistaken, he's not the one who's calling the defense. And look at the offense compare last year to this year. It's fun. It's entertaining. But the defense is miserable. And part of it is roster, but part of it is play calling. Because they're not picking up players from the street. They're picking up professional free agent. And this is embarrassing.
Well, so I'll say 2 things. So the personnel that he has this year and the personnel that he had last year is different. You could say it wasn't great last year, but it's even worse this year. Just to say, like, football is a game of 11 people, and certainly Derek Brown's your best player. He was out there week 1, but there's 10 other guys that have a job to do to help him out with being able to be that great player, and we don't have a lot of those. So Josie Jewell, he wasn't here last year. Dante Jackson, he's not here. And then you have Brian Burns that was here last year, and he's not here. So you have a lot of different things that it's not the same as, the one common thing is Ivero was here last year. But I just feel like the guys that you're seeing out there, they're not technically a guy off the street. They're a football player, but they're not football players that are already signed because they're football players that haven't been displaying the skills that any of the other 31 teams out there in the NFL wants. So therefore, we get them and we try to bring them in here and we try to coach them up as best as we can because we need bodies, and they're not performing well enough. So I feel like in that case, it's not so much like I feel like Ivero's a great guy. I do feel like he's a great coach because, like, I won't even say a great coach. I feel like he belongs because just last year he had the team performing well with what we saw was a lot of like, wow, we really don't have any good guys and they're performing well. And it's just, they're not able to do it again this year, and he has lesser people. He has missed tackles as well that's going on. He has guys that's getting bullied at the line of scrimmage. What is he going to do? He can't make them stronger. He can't make them wrap up. You can go to coaching and things. But so that's part on Ivero. And then to go over to I think you touched on the offensive side is good.
Yeah. Let me just make 2 quick points about the defense.
Yeah.
Number one, last year, better players. And again, I bring it again and again. Look at the game against the Packers. Look at how many rushing yards we allow. And you tell me if that is acceptable. Nearly 200 rushing yards with a much better group, and so on. So last year we had problem.
I'm not saying that it's acceptable. And last year I wasn't like doing cartwheels over how great we were playing. I was actually shocked that he was able to play as well as we were able to play, because we got bit by the injury bug a lot last year on the defensive side with guys getting out. And I remember that Houston game that we actually won. I was like, man, this is going to be interesting. What can Ivero do? And they were able to play good enough to where they actually won that game last year against Houston. But it was never a point last year where I was like, oh, this defense is great. We got who we need. It was like, wow, we're still hanging on with a thread with guys that are pretty marginal players. And what they're doing this year, I'm not saying like that is so good to allow 200 yards for the Falcons. No, I'm not saying that. But what would you want him to do? Put more guys? If the guys out there are missing tackles and they're not able to bring guys down, if the guys out there that are getting pushed over, what is a different coach going to do?
Change the scheme. Change this. Also, a lot of the players on the roster, guess who recommended them? Ivero. DJ Johnson. Who recommended drafting DJ Johnson? Ivero. Who recommended Nick Scott and Jules and so on? Because he worked with them, he coached them. Ivero. So he deserves a lot of the blame. I mean, we see how great the offense is. Just imagine if we had a decent defense. We would be over 500 right now, easily. That is the frustrating part.
Yeah, I certainly agree. A better defense, we'd have a much better record for sure.
But at least it's miraculous the jobs that Canales has done on the offense because it's entertaining. I mean, last year, offense was boring. Yesterday I was at the game, energy was very high, and I'm sure the running play by Dorton that won't design in the playbook, but just his instinct, which the interception by Ian Thomas, totally unacceptable. He threw it into deep coverage when he had Mingo open straight ahead and running to the left, he had Shuba. So that was a false throw, but I don't know. I got to be honest. I'm not sure if they will win more games this season as long as Overo is the defensive coordinator. I hope I'm wrong, but when you cannot tackle anyone, when you cannot stop the pass, when you put a linebacker, yesterday they put number 52 on Drake London. London is a wide receiver. Why would you put a linebacker one-on-one coverage against London?
Yeah, I don't. I'd have to know the play offhand to see what happened. Sometimes they do run stuff where they try to take advantage of a mismatch where the linebacker has to get on a wide receiver, etc. But let me ask you in closing. Did you have anything else in closing? Because I do have someone else that's holding on. By the way, it's okay that we disagree, right? It happens.
No, no, it is. We want to win. I mean, we the fans, we pay price to go to the games. This is our team. We don't have another team like people in the radio station, our Jets, etc., Eagles fans, etc. This is our team. So we deserve a much better performance, much better effort. If we are mad, they should be even more mad, and they are not.
I don't think you can say they're not mad. I don't think anybody's over there doing cartwheels and smiling about, hey, we lost another game. So, but yeah, I appreciate you calling, man. It's always good to talk to you, and always good to hear your side of things. Certainly, as a fan that's paying to get into those games aren't cheap, and you want some return on your buck. I get it. I'm with you on that. I want to see some good games as well.
Sure, likewise.
All right, thanks, man. You take care.
You too.
All righty, we're getting through it. We're getting through it. Again, there's a link in the description. There's also a link pinned in the comments for you guys to join the show. I hope that you do so. Please do so, whether it's a question, whether it's an event. And as you can see, we may disagree, but it's all right. It's just conversation talking about something that we all love, right? Sports and the Carolina Panthers. And we're going to continue to roll through it. I got another returning. Let's see. Let me give a few shout outs there. Final Boss is in here. How you doing? Forest City Kitty also joining us today. Again, feel free to join or leave some comments. We'll go through it. My man from, well, we already know where you're from. What's going on, Thomas? You got your Carolina Panthers shirt on. I like it. I like it.
Hey, you know what? Despite the Panthers making me sick, no, I mean, look, I'm getting over a sinus cold. So, I mean, it's not their fault that I'm going through this. But, I mean, you just got to keep going. I mean, like I said, I've had enough, disappointing Sundays to where I'm not going to let it ruin my upcoming week and stuff like that. Hey, you know what? We could be the Browns. We could be the Browns. So that's all I'm going to say.
Hey, we got the Commanders coming up. What do you think about the matchup with the Commanders coming up? You feel good about it, or you just got to take this attitude of whatever?
Honestly, it's going to be whatever at this point because of the fact that, I mean, I saw a stat to where I think Carolina, their defense is actually one of the historically bad in that category, giving up like 33 points, I think, in the first like 6 games. And Washington can put up a lot of points. So I don't foresee Carolina being able to stop them. Maybe if they can get, I heard Sam Franklin is, I think, being activated from the IR, returning practice. So that might help. But if Clowney can be, even 50-50, that might help apply a little bit of pressure. But I think they just need to, Run the ball. Run the ball. Why? I don't get it. It's like when they were driving and they kept running the ball, and all of a sudden Dalton throws the pick. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But I don't know. I mean, another stat I saw was 3-20. 3-20. That is the record for the Panthers in the last 23 games. 3-20. 3-20. And when you're 3-20 in 23 games, you're going to be taken as a joke. You're going to have just like that picture you posted of the Falcons trolling the Panthers. That's where we're at now, to where now you have more opposing fans showing up to Bank of America Stadium. I mean, I see it on Twitter. Sometimes I'll see that when I'm watching the game. Unfortunately, being living in Ohio, I don't go to many games. I've only been to one. But that's where we're at now. Teams just view it as, oh, hey, this is our get right game. This is a game to where we could easily flood the stadium because the Tempers have made the stadium so luxurious, even though I'm not really sure if that's the case. But I don't know. It's just, yesterday was a game to where, you kind of felt at first like, okay, they can do this. Then when they got down, they tried, but when they started to get cute, that's the problem. They tried to get cute, and Dalton just. And the thing is, I watched enough Dalton up here with he playing in Cincinnati for years because they would show Cincinnati games out of the Toledo market. He throws picks whenever he tries to be cute instead of just doing what he's supposed to, hand it off or just dump it off to somebody.
So you're not also talking about that trick play that they tried to do? You're not talking about that in particular, right?
uh, Not that one particularly, but just in general, like when Chuba was having get all these just gashing Atlanta's run defense. It's like, come on, why? But I guess the silver lining. There's one silver lining. I think they Tampa Bay, when Atlanta played them. I think it was Tampa Bay in that overtime win. They gave up 500 yards against Atlanta. Cousins had 500 passing yards, I think. At least Carolina did not give up 500 passing yards. At least there's that. Got to see the positives there just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I realistically, I would like to see them maybe try to compete against Washington, but Washington is coming off of a tough loss against Baltimore. I don't know. I mean, if Carolina can make it a game, great, but I just don't see it. I mean, but I don't know. Now you got to start thinking about, how long you keep Dalton in. It's like, yeah, okay, great. They're competitive at least, but sooner or later, you were hoping to try to win games. But it's like, now the question is, when do you stop? When you just stop trying and think about towards seeing what we got for next year? Are you still like 1 or 2 wins? I don't know. Just trying
So
to.
that's a good question because that was yesterday on our post game show. It was a lot of mad people out there, and I guess maybe they got too disgusted. I was hoping a lot of people would come back today where I can give you all much more time to talk about what you're upset about. But it was a lot of fire Dave Canales, a lot of
You were like,
bench Andy, and bring back Bryce. So between the bench Andy, bring back Bryce, what part of the fence are you on for that part?
for right now, I would roll with Dalton for now. But if we're going in, Thanksgiving, and there's just no chance, and they're already eliminated out of playoff, yeah, I would bring Bryce back. But if they still have a shot, but that's the thing. If you're going to be able to see any progression from him,
Yeah, I could go with that. I don't know about November. I'd say after the Thanksgiving game. Let's go into December. I give him a month. I don't think I don't know if I want to risk more than 4 games with Bryce this season, because one thing, and I'm glad that you're on the Bryce not starting part yet of the fence. That's the part I'm on. Don't bring Bryce back out there because it's like, how quickly do we forget how horrible the team was with Bryce back there, quarterback? Horrible. And you can't even get evaluation out of your other guys because he's playing so bad. I mean, it was like every week how many stats were you gonna hear about how bad the team was? It was just like all kinds of stuff. You just hearing from all directions. Oh, this is the worst ever in this department. This is the worst ever here. Like at least we're not hearing that conversation about how many
Right.
things are so bad all around the team. Right now we got an offense that's been respectable. Right, 20 points is still respectable. Could have been more.
Better than last year.
Yeah, way better than last year. And we have a defense that is now extremely bad. And yeah, I talked about it yesterday, and it's going to be unfortunate. What I talk about for the rest of the year is once the opposing team scores, get ready for it. They're not going to stop. So your best bet is
Right.
to hope they don't score early on. Hopefully you can get something and get ahead of them.
Mhm.
And then I feel like for the rest of the season, it's just going to be like, can the Panthers hold on? As in, like,
Mhm.
if we're neck and neck, can they have enough energy? Can they have enough plays on the offense? Can the defense get one play that gives us an extra possession? Like our defense getting a turnover is like mandatory at this point.
Right.
Sam Franklin coming back, good for him. That ain't gonna
Hmm.
help us.
Right.
there's.
I,
Go ahead.
I think my thing is about Bryce is if they bring him back later on and they're out of it and they see no progression. Now the question got to be asked is, as I mentioned a few weeks ago, Canales had success with veteran quarterbacks running his offense. If Bryce shows no progression in his offense, now the question to ask is, this is not Canales' guy. He inherited him. So now the thing is, would he be willing to bring in a veteran that can lead his offense? If question is, if Bryce does not pick up this offense or show improvement. If he shows improvement, then Canales can roll with him for next year. But if not, then now that question's got to be asked: is this offensive scheme he's used with Gino and Baker, veteran people, not a young person?
In my opinion, if Bryce, going with the hypothetical, let's say Bryce comes back December 1st, whatever first game is. I'll tell you, first game it actually is December 1st against the Bucks. Ooh, I don't know if I want him to come back against the Bucks because I know Baker's going to be blazing.
Oh yeah. I mean, just look, yesterday's game, that Bucks and Saints game was like really good. I had that on my fourth screens for the 1 o'clock slots, and that game was back and forth. And if he did against the Saints, and the Saints defense is a tiny bit more explosive than Carolina's, he's going to have a field day.
Hey, how about the fact I don't know the exact number, Thomas, but I think it was like the first team to score 27 points in a quarter and
Mm-hmm.
still lose by like 21 points is what happened to the Saints.
Oh,
Like it was like awful. But to stay on topic here about Bryce, if Bryce does come back and he just looks like he has looked his entire NFL
mm-hmm.
career so far, then I think the very simple response is you're now planning for somebody else to be your quarterback of the future. Exactly what happens with Bryce, I don't know. But I would say for certain the bigger thing is if he comes back, is now trying to figure out, okay, who's going to be our quarterback of the future? Because at that point, he's certainly not it. I mean,
Right.
could be
I
a
mean, it's
lot
too
of other
early to
things, but he's
tell.
not it.
It's too early to tell, but I mean, this is a conversation that could be picked back up, like you said, December 1st or around that time frame. But then you go in that off season. I mean, we all know. I mean, Tepper would be a fool to get rid of Canales. I mean, I would let Canales stay because he's trying to, build a culture, give him at least a second year, and that's a question people are going to ask. Like, is this going to be his due? So the question is, we don't know. We got to see how if he progresses any. I mean, he's showing good whenever he's on the sideline, being a good teammate. So maybe who knows? I mean, we just kind of need to see it at some point. At some point, not if
Yeah,
they're in playoff hunt.
I'm sure quite a few people wouldn't mind being paid a couple $1 million to be a good teammate.
Wish I could. I mean, Bryce is only a few inches taller than I am. I'm almost 5'5". He's like 5'9", so we'll be fitting in right there.
There you go. Hey, I'm giving you a little extra time because we didn't have anybody else waiting, but I am going to go ahead and look into some comments. Did you have any closing questions or statements there, buddy?
Oh, let's just be competitive on the road. I mean, Washington used to be a team to where it'd be go back and forth. I don't even know. I mean, who knows? This could be a game to where we don't think Carolina's going to win, and they would shock everybody. So I mean, I could see that happening, but you can only hope anymore. You can only hope. If we get the 4 wins, great, but I don't know. It's
Tough
whatever
sledding
anymore.
ahead.
It's
Hey,
whatever anymore.
thanks as always, Thomas, for being a regular, man. It was good to see you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Have a good night, Chris.
Take care. So, man, so quick thoughts on our record. What is it going to be? So we play Washington. I feel like we're still going to have a better record than last year. Unfortunately, it may not be where I want it to be. It may be a 4-13 kind of record, which is still awful. But it would be twice as many wins as we had this year. So, man, this is crazy. So, again, this show 100% dedicated to serving you, answering your question. There's a link in the description. There's also a link pinned in the comments that you can click on. Come on the show. Let me know what it is that you have a question about. So it's not your normal show where I have a lot of content prepared for you, clips and photos and all that stuff. Even though I do have some, if that I might share. But it's all about you guys. Win, lose, or draw. We're going to do this show. Let's go back and look at some of the comments. If you guys see me squinting, don't laugh. I've been having my glasses on today, and it makes it hard to see. Panthers need to draft 2 big hog mollies. So you're going back to who was our GM? I can see his face. I want to say Dave Gettleman. Dave Gettleman talked about hog mollies to help the run defense, pair them with Derek Brown, and we'll have something to build on. So, yeah, unquestionably, you got to get the defense better. And you're going to have to figure out the question to your quarterback here. But for now, short term, this season, this week ahead, we can't make much changes. I'm just, I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, but there's not a big amount of changes that we can do with this team right now, with the personnel that we have. We can just hope that we do get some pieces back, like a Clowney, who's been just serviceable. He hadn't been incredible. He's, at times just doesn't have what he used to have to get back there to the quarterback and make the impact that he used to make, but he's certainly not terrible. And, hoping that number 8, J.C. Horn, can continue to stay healthy. I mean, that's something that we should get a little applause about. At this point, I believe we have now J.C. Horn has played the same number of games this year that he played all last season. So, if we keep that up and he's able to get some INTs, run it back, that's good. Mike Jackson back there, Xavier Woods. I feel like the cornerbacks secondary played pretty aggressively yesterday in attempts to get the ball from the defenders. And that's kind of like what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to take some risk on defense to compensate for the talent that we don't have. And then hopefully we can get to some more points during the season where we actually have a lead and can continue to run the ball. Like, yeah, Chuba was doing good yesterday, late in the game. That drive was looking promising when we were down by 8 points. Chuba had 4 runs in a row. But yet, you still are going to mix it up typically, even, if you're just going to try 1 or 2 to see if you can push the ball downfield. So I'm not mad at Canales for that. And I'm not mad at Canales for saying we're going to run the ball every single time, because you could theoretically say we're just going to run it the whole way down the field. That might be something that he changes to as he gets further into the season, but first-year coach, so I feel like there's a little bit of grace there to be had. Appreciate the comment there, Final Boss. What's going on, Forest City Kitty? And then we got Richter. Chuba is currently 66 yards away from becoming the Panthers' 6th all-time rusher. Biaka Batuka at 6, Chuba Hubbard 7. That's good information. I'm going to look that up real quick while we're talking about that. Let me see. I think there's a way I can very quickly see where they stand as a whole. Let's see. Regular individual. Maybe not. I won't waste your time looking for it. I trust you. Let's see. Don't laugh at me squinting, guys. Yeah, what I'm looking at only shows me the top three. Number one's Jonathan Stewart. Number two, D'Angelo Williams. And number three is Cam Newton. Thank you, Richter, for that comment there. What's going on? We got a member. We got to get some love to our members. Thank you, Shannon and Tyler, so much for being a member and supporting us as independent media. What's up, Chris? Don't understand why Dalton threw that first interception when Coker was wide open in the end zone. Yeah, Shannon, that first interception that he threw to that was intended for Ian Thomas, it was just bad every step of the way. It was bad that you never see Ian Thomas as a guy that's going to catch a 50-50 ball over somebody. He hadn't displayed that kind of athleticism at that part of his game. And you also saw the defender just coming, right? You saw him accelerating into it as the ball started to go in the air, then he just continued to shoot through it. And honestly, it doesn't look like Ian Thomas had his full balance running all the way through that route. So it was just awful. That was a terrible interception. The one later that he threw out, I believe Deontay Johnson was the intended receiver. That one was a lot better looking. But yeah, it was bad. It was bad. And I think that part of it made it so sad for you while you're watching the game of like, I think we become flexible, like, okay, we might lose this game, but we played good. You just don't want to see anything so self-inflicted toward the end of the game when you feel like you have a chance to come back and make it a game. That was tough to see. Quentin Henry, what's up with you? Don't fully understand your comment there. I'm sorry. Hampton House says, what's the feeling around the team regarding Jalen Coker? So I might still have the audio. I might have deleted it. Let's see if I can play this for you pretty quick. Looks like I may have deleted that audio. Let me try for one more second here to grab that. And then again, don't like to take up too much time trying to find something while we're live. Well, I'm just going to see if I can quickly get to it. Yeah, I don't see it. But last week, to answer your question, Hampton, Xavier Legette was asked about Jalen Coker. And he basically said, hey, he's a good guy. He's a solid guy. He belongs in this league. He's going to make it in this league. He does everything right that needs to be done. So that was words from Xavier Legette just last week. I think that was on Thursday, in which he spoke of Coker being good. And obviously Coker is being very effective because he's getting more snaps than Jonathan Mingo. Yesterday when I was watching the game, I was thinking, wow, how many snaps did Mingo get? He actually got a decent amount of snaps. Mingo actually got 30 snaps yesterday, so he played technically about half the game. But Coker got 43 snaps, and so Coker played 65% of the snaps. Jonathan Mingo played 45% of the snaps, which is, to me, a pretty telling story about just how good Coker has been. I think this was his third game been active, and he's an undrafted free agent. Jonathan Mingo has been here for a while, and he was looking like he was certainly going to be your definite number 2 guy. And now he's really looking at being about like your 4th guy, right? Your 4th, 5th guy. So I would say that, again, Legette spoke highly of him, and I would assume that Canales is high on him because he's certainly giving him more reps than he is giving to Jonathan Mingo. So hats off to the undrafted free agent that's doing his thing out there. Definitely a good route runner, and a guy that Steve Smith thinks highly of as well with his route running abilities. Bar City, I don't want to see Bryce till next year's preseason. Yeah, we can talk about Bryce a little bit more too. I don't want to see Bryce anytime soon. Not like, I don't like Bryce, but Bryce, between the white lines, number 9, he has not been doing it. So I think we just quickly forget about how bad Bryce has been. So I'm going to give you just a quick refresh on Bryce Young and his performance. Carolina Panthers scored 3 points. Bryce's last game, he had 84 yards passing. Bryce in week 1, he had a lot more yards, but he had more interceptions. He still had 0 touchdowns. We scored 10 points. Bryce. Let's see if I can get this. I can't get this to show exactly how I want to. But, hey, let's just go ahead and look at one game last year for Bryce. This is not doing what I wanted to do, so I may just have to cut this out. All right, let's look at Bryce last year. Last game of the season, Carolina Panthers scored 0 points. Bryce, again, had under 100 yards passing. Bryce against Jacksonville Jaguars, we scored 0 points. Bryce had no touchdowns, 1 interception. Bryce has thrown way more interceptions than he has touchdowns. And in this game, he had just over 112 yards on 32 passing attempts. So, Forest City Kitty, we in the same boat, man. I'm with you. That's how I feel about it. Let's continue to break this down. Hey, yesterday's loss could be attributed to Dalton, at least 50%. Those INTs were unnecessary. So, yeah, you'll put it on Andy because he made the turnovers. But also, just in recognizing the game as a whole, our defense leaves us very, very little room for error, right? He makes those completions or doesn't throw those interceptions. We still have the ball and we still have a chance. But look at what we're having to do to have a chance. They still ended up with 38 points. They still had their run game that was just doing whatever they want. So just keep that into perspective. Yeah, you could put it mostly on him, but you could also say, well, if our defense had played better, had some stops, had been as solid as the offense had been previous to those points, maybe Andy wouldn't even need to worry about pressing the ball down that far. And we could just keep running the ball through Chuba. But I'm with you, Jarris. I get it. It wasn't good. Let's just not forget. My statement is let's just not forget how poorly the defense played. Our defense had 0 sacks, running backs, 200 yards. Technically, they ended up with under because some guys had losses, but their 2 running backs had 200 yards between the 2 of them. Appreciate you. What's up, Roadmaster? Appreciate you joining us as well. Let's see here. Just making my way through some of these questions. Chris, J. Stu, D. Williams. Oh, you give me it. Yeah, I'm a little tired, man. My eyes, I think, are dry. They're starting to itch. So that's why I stopped looking. But again, you guys are great. My subscribers are awesome. I believe you guys' your comments are pretty accurate. So they say J. Stu number 1, D'Angelo Williams 2, Cam 3, Deshaun Foster 4, C-Mac 5, Tim 6, Chuba 7, Pat Stephen Davis, Fred Lane, Anthony Johnson, Nick Goins. All right. I think Chuba will get there, man. Chuba's good. Chuba's doing his thing. And Dom said this, smash the like and subscribe. Do what Don says. I appreciate it. Helps me out very, very much. Chris, since this defense is so bad, Dan should be active and busy before the trading deadline. Move anyone but... Oh, you give me the numbers. 0-17. Anyone should be available for the right draft picks or players. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that statement. I mean, he's been a pretty active GM already. He's been very, very active. So I don't see that changing. And I'm pretty sure he's aware of like this isn't getting it. And he's going to continue to do stuff that he can to give us opportunities to get better. It's just it won't happen too much this year. He can start putting us in position for next year. But I'm not mad at that comment. There, Shakad. Thank you very much for it. Hey, we got another member just joining us. T. Green, thank you very much for your membership. to our channel. We appreciate it a lot. Hey, Chris, I enjoyed the game yesterday, even though we lost. I feel like they need to talk to Icky with all those false starts. Yeah, them penalties yesterday, man, they were bad. We had 10 penalties yesterday. Wasn't over 100 yards, but the penalties were just, they were in costly situations where Chuba's like at the 2, Chuba's inside the red zone. Several other things where we had a penalty after the block punt, which makes it worse, where we give them another 10 yards. So it's like, obviously they're going to score now. The ball's like at the 25. They're going to score at least a field goal. So there were definitely too many penalties, but it went all around. It wasn't just on the offense. I'm sorry, on the offensive line. It went all around, even to the wide receivers with illegal formation. So yeah, you got to get those things better, and it will certainly give us a better opportunity to win. Appreciate you, T Green. AOL Instant Messenger. What is your name? How could you be? Do you miss AOL? I'm curious. I've used AOL before. I'm curious. If you're in the chat right now, you've used AOL before. Just say you have. I'm curious. Interactive show, live show. I like to ask questions. I remember using AOL, and I remember what my email address was. My email my email address says username. I was such a dork that my AOL email address / username was user807234. I never changed it. That was it. If you needed my email address, I don't know, 30 years ago, I said, yeah, here you go, user807. I remember getting one of those discs from somewhere, let it automatically assign me something because my name wasn't available, and that's what I stuck with. But AOL Instant Messenger, to answer your question, Dane Jackson is here in Charlotte. He is still not yet part of the roster, but they feel like he is going to be slated to, get back on the field soon. Let me see exactly what their status is they designated him as right now. I know he's not actively practicing. Team. Let me make sure I speak correctly here. So yeah, he's on injured reserve, where Dane is. But coach did speak about him specifically today, saying that he looks good. They're not going to make the decision yet, but feels good about him coming. Sam Franklin's going to be cleared, so he's going to be returning. Brooks, really thinking about opening up that window for him today. They haven't officially made that statement, but feels like he's made the progress to where they would be comfortable with him in that 21-day window being opened up. And then we also have DJ Wanham, he's coming along as well. So he says a lot of these guys, he feels like they're really about to be there. So keep a lookout, keep an eye out for videos from me that some changes will happen this week for the better of some players that have not been available becoming available. So, and then yes, he asked about Wanham, so I answered that as well. And Shaq Lawson. We're Adam Thielen. You talk about all the hurt players. I mean, if you want to know the list of hurt players, it's a lot of them. You got Anthony Brown, Derek Brown, Austin Corbett, Jaden Crumdy, Sam Franklin, Jordan Fuller, Dane Jackson, Adam Thielen, Shaq Thompson, Jonathan Brooks, Amare, Barno, DJ Wanham. So yeah, there's a lot of them. They're still here. They just haven't been cleared. Let's see. We won a turnover battle, but could stop a runny nose. It was bad. It was pretty bad. Dom says Bryce needs to practice on his footwork, like relearning your ABCs. All right, Tigran. Have you seen talks about trading Chuba? We can't be that crazy. We definitely need him. So, yeah, you're going to hear talks on a lot of things. I can't say I've heard any official talk. I've just seen it out there on the Twitterverse and other places about Chuba Hubbard. And there's a lot of places. There's a lot of things that can happen. For me, we're not far enough down one path where I can start saying what could happen. We're not far enough down what our win-loss record is. we're not far enough down evaluating all these other guys and making sure that Andy Dalton's going to continue to be our quarterback. I feel like because of the way we lost this day, it's like, oh no, Andy Dalton. But, throwing interceptions is something that's going to happen if you're playing in the NFL as a quarterback. Guys on the other side are pretty good, so I don't expect Andy to go through the rest of the season and still not throw one interception. So it's just a lot for me that needs to happen before I can say what I feel will happen with Chuba. Could he be a trade person? He could be. Somebody else has some interest out there. Could they take the mentality of, hey, running backs, we can get them anywhere? Jonathan Brooks coming back. How good is Jonathan Brooks? We did just draft a guy in the second round. So potentially that could happen. But again, for me, I just need a little bit more progress through the season, a little bit more progress through player personnel availability before I can get that. What I say is crazy to get rid of. I don't know. I can't say that yet because I don't know what else we have. But he's certainly an asset. He's certainly an asset. Appreciate you, T. Green. AJ Marshall, welcome to the show. By the way, give me one more caller before I get out of here. We got about 15 minutes, a little less than 15 minutes max for the rest of the show. The show is dedicated 100% towards me interacting with you all and answering your questions and your comments, reading your statements. But there's a link that's in the description as well as pinned in the comments for you to come on the show, show your face, ask some questions. I'm going to do my famous drink of water during the show. Panthers D not getting any better. Got their hands full with Commanders offense next game. Can't disagree with you. Cannot disagree with you. Let's see how well the Commanders did this past weekend. I know the quarterback's been doing darn good. They got a pretty decent record. Let's go to it. Commanders are 4-2. Lost by 7 to the Baltimore Ravens. And Jaden Daniels, the sensation, man, that guy's he's been solid. 24 out of 35, 269 yards, 2 TDs, no interceptions, 110 passer rating. Rushing, they didn't do too much rushing, but that could change once they play the Carolina Panthers. But, for our sake, my sake, I'm hoping it's a competitive game. Appreciate you, AJ. This is true. The AOL chat rooms were lit, man. They were like, man. So I don't know how many people said they had AOL chat. So I'm here to be your therapist, your football player, whatever you guys want to talk about. I just really enjoy connecting with the audience. Again, this show is whatever you guys want it to be. But those AOL chat rooms, I feel like they were like different groups. And it was like so cool the way it felt like you were in a mall, right? You go there and you could go. I don't think what did I like the most about AOL? I don't even know. I just have memories from all the different stuff that was there and getting mad at somebody if they pick up the phone, and I remember being so happy when having a second telephone line in the house was affordable. I don't know, $20 or so. So you get that. It's like, yes, now I can be on the internet as much as I want to be. I don't have to worry about getting off or somebody picking up the phone and ruining my download. Anyway, yeah, AOL chat rooms. That's funny. T. Green's happy that Sam Franklin is back. Yeah. That guy's good. That guy's so good he got voted a captain while he's not even playing. Shaked doing what he loves to do. Chris, do you sit on IR every year at work like our players? Nah, man. I'll be out there grinding. Out there, be the last one out there on the field every Sunday, reporting to you guys, bring you the latest news. So, no, I don't get to sit on IR. Yes, I will be in DC to cover the game this Saturday. I think I get to DC around 1 o'clock on Saturday, and that's a late game in the sense that it's not a 1 o'clock game. This week we just had a 4:25. That game next week, or this week now, it's a 4:05 game. But yeah, I'll be there. So make sure that you turn on your notifications. I will go live pregame, as I always do for each week. On the road, I'm always inside the stadium for those pre-games. Look for that. And I will have a special guest, a guy that you guys and girls may know. Alex Zetlow of the Charlotte Observer will be joining me for our pre-game show. Again, Alex Zetlow of the Charlotte Observer will be joining me for that pre-game show this Sunday in D.C. as we get prepared to watch the Panthers and the Commanders. So, yep. Shaq Kennedy, he's just gonna be on me. No, man, he's not in the press box. Every now and then you might get the GM in the press box. That's it. But no, the coordinators do not. They're not in the press box. What's going on, Ali Bodrick? What's going on? I wonder how the players are feeling about consistently. Yeah, it's not good enough. J.C. Horn talked about it. You know, that was one of the first comments he said from his well, I say press conference, but from talking with the media the other day, it's like, man, it ain't good enough. Like, these guys want to win. 100% want to win. It's just like being close. You know, it may matter and feel good like the first time or two, but at this point, when you're 1-5, man, you don't want to get close. You want to get to 2-5. You want to get to 3-5. You want to be relevant. You want people to respect your team, respect your game. And obviously that's not what it's like. You know, these guys are friends throughout the league. You know, it probably ain't too fun picking up your phone, talking to your buddy. Hey, man, I saw y'all got blasted again. Yeah, man, you know. So, no. This team has a lot of growing to do, especially the coaches, because penalties and bad communication falls on the coaching staff. Yeah, it does. You said it perfectly. Let's see here. All right, Antonio Lyles here. If the Panthers just score, not worry about the defense, we'll be fine. The Panthers could have scored on that second touchdown. My thing is Dalton is not a mobile QB if he could have scrambled. Not really sure of your full perspective here, Antonio, when you say don't worry about the defense. Is that kind of saying, like, I'm not 100% clear on your comment there, Antonio. So feel free to clarify. We've got about 5 more minutes here on the show. The Panthers will have to blow teams out on the scoring, then they can survive. Yeah, so, yeah, just, you know, calling a spade, calling it is what it is. We're going to have to get lucky that we get a poor performance offense, or we get a game where we got some turnovers. Turnovers are going to be key. Whether it's a punch, the peanut punch, fumble recovery, or even better, whether it's a pick six. But we need to have our defense have a big play to give us an opportunity. Otherwise, if they're playing good ball on the other side, meaning that they're not turning it over, and maybe they're mixing up pass run, whatever it may be, they're going to score on us. We're not going to stop them enough. And, yeah, it's imperative that our offense definitely continues to put up some points, score, to give us a chance to win. And that way, you know, and that's what Dalton brings to us. I know we can all be critical about what Andy Dalton did and didn't do yesterday, but Andy Dalton still clearly gives us the best chance to win. Even when he loses and you're mad at his interceptions, it's still, can you tell me the last game that Bryce Young had 20 points and he was the quarterback? I'm going to quickly go and look. And it's not that I'm saying, oh, Andy Dalton is my guy. I love him. He's the best. No, he just flat out gives us a better chance to win, and he's better than Bryce right now. So I can probably quickly find that. Let's see. probably going to have to end on this. So last year, is this last year's schedule? It looks like it is. Because Houston's on here, right? All right, so last year, Panthers scored 10 points. Panthers scored 17 points. All right, Panthers scored. Wow. I was about to give you guys some credit for saying maybe we could change. But guess what? That was the game that Andy Dalton was the quarterback that we scored 27 points. Not Bryce Young. So 27 points, Andy Dalton was your quarterback. Panthers, 13. Oh, here we go. We finally got lucky. We scored 24 one time last year in Detroit. And then 21 against the Dolphins. But keep in mind, when we're scoring 20-something points, the other team's scoring 40-something, right? We scored 24, Lions had 42. We scored 21, Dolphins had 42. So it's like it was probably garbage time that helped him get to over 20 points. The game we won against the Texans, we had 15. Then we had 13. Then we had 13. Then we had 10. Then we had 10. Then we had 18. Then we had 6. Then we had 9. Here we go. Best game was the Packers game where we had 30 and they had 33. And after that, 0 and 0. So, yeah. All right. Hit the like button if you haven't already done so. Chance Hines signed in. Appreciate you jumping in right before we get off the air. Hey, Chris, do you think Brooks will jump in the fold right away? I absolutely do not think that Brooks will jump in the fold right away. You got Chuba Hubbard, which has been spectacular. You got Miles Sanders, who's been his backup. And you got Jonathan Brooks, who is probably looked at as a long-term future solution for the Carolina Panthers. So they initially wanted Brooks back in training camp is what they were hoping. You know, when they first got him, they were talking about him. Not only did he not make it back for training camp, it's week 6, and he's just, well, technically now we're on to week 7. We just finished up week 6, and he's just now being strongly considered to come off the physically unable to perform, getting him into the 21-day window where he has to be ready. And coach said, like, we still got to talk about it, but I feel pretty good. So, no, not in the fold right away. They're going to definitely continue to take their time with him just based on the way that they have been handling him up until this point. Chance, I appreciate you very much. Everybody that had a chance to come on, I appreciate you so, so much. Hope you enjoyed the show. Call in next week, all right? We're going to do the same show each and every week. May break the cycle for the Germany game because that's a long flight back to then hop right on and do it. I don't know. But each day after the game, count on the show taking place. The content is whatever you all want it to be. Tonight we talked a little bit about AOL Instant Messenger, taking it back. But whatever you all want to talk about, I'm here for. We'll resume back Wednesday. But, of course, there's some news that breaks tomorrow. I usually do a YouTube short to make sure that you all get that information. And then come Wednesday, we'll go back to our full format show. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Chris Jenkins for Charlotte Vibe.